Hey, everybody, welcome back into another edition of the Doctor Bicuspid.com podcast. My name is Kevin Henry. I'm the editor in chief for Dr. Bicuspid. Thank you for joining us for another episode in a series that is sponsored by SprintRay. And I would love to welcome on today Dr. Thanos Kristallis. Dr. Kristallis, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Henry? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Would you mind just introducing yourself to our audience quickly?
Love to. I'll give you a little bit of my background. Obviously, my name gives it away, right? I'm a Greek guy. I grew up in South Africa and grew up there and trained in the US. Done extensive training in occlusion. First of all, I started at Georgetown with occlusion and temporal mandibular treatment of patients and restorative dentistry, which kind of tuned me into functionality of patients very early on. After that, I did prosthodontics, the University of Texas. I did maxillofacial pros, MD Anderson, and the University of Alabama fellowship. So I deal with a lot of head and neck reconstruction. And later on, I went back to NYU and did my implant training. So I'm pretty much adverse to anything reconstructive, right? That's what I live and breathe every day.
I know last time we were going to do this podcast, you actually had surgery that you were in and we had to postpone. So just a typical day for you, I'm assuming.
Yes, actually, we were doing jaw in a day. So we had a patient who had a squamous cell carcinoma of the lower jaw. And it's typical, right? Because we go ahead and pre-plan everything, treatment plan everything, Henry, Kevin. And then what we did is we placed the implants in the fibula and did 6 implants and 3D printed the prototype prosthesis. Wow. So the patient walked out not only with a new jaw, but with new teeth. And that's the beauty of what we're doing and, the contribution of SprintRay and the 3D printing, additive manufacturing technology in what I do on a daily basis. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the adaptation for 3D printing and how that has changed what you do and impacted your career.
I think the big surprise is how fast this has gone, right? I got involved with SprintRay about 2017. So we're going on to 9 years now. My premise back then, the conversation was, I'll get involved as long as the materials evolve, right? And resin science has exploded, right? So I think that's one of the first things that we have to focus on, Kevin, is that the science of resin and materials is evolving really fast as far as 3D printing is concerned.
And how do you keep up with those advances?
The hard way, which meant we were a practice at UCSD in La Jolla. And what we did is we literally 2 years ago, so early last year, created a whole new facility. I incorporated all the technology, and I'll briefly go through it, as we converse here today, and also incorporate a full digital lab so that we can 3D print and manufacture everything same day on the premises. And to answer, the short answer to the great question is, how do you keep up? Once you get into technology and innovation, you don't keep up, right? It changes all the time. So you got to just go with it. And that's what's really exciting. Don't forget, I'm doing this for 40 years. And I think this is where I'm starting to have some fun with dentistry.
And does part of that come from how the digital workflow has evolved and how 3D printing is a part of that as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. First of all, and this is the recommendation for the doctors out there, we all have to become digitally literate, right? You need to invest into the technology. Secondly, you got to start educating yourself because technology doesn't change. And we all are looking now at open systems, right? Scalable open systems. And I think it's not just a vacuum. It's just not an intraoral scanner, Kevin, or just a 3D printer that's going to make you digitally adverse. What you need to do is look at the whole ecosystem, look at digital workflows and adapt those, right? So the key here is open architecture. You got to go into open architecture and scalable models that you can evolve as AI especially and material sciences evolves. That's the key, I think.
And let's talk a little bit just for a moment about the economic side of things and the ROI. How have you seen that change with the improvements that have happened in the digital workflow, including 3D printing?
Great question. First of all, the way that I've set up, we're really talking about the magic word is immediacy, same day dentistry. So I think now it's achievable. I do it every day. Yesterday, I did a full arch. So I'm a full arch guy. Mm-hmm. And, now I don't want to wait 2 weeks, right? And 3 weeks for the lab, the impression, the analog, the losing control of it. So one, time, right? Time is money. And obviously us being able to turn it around that fast, you're saving a lot of money. Secondly, you got a substantial cost reduction, Kevin, because now what you're looking at is basically you can create everything in-house. So you don't need expensive lab costs. And when you're doing 3D printing, the cost is minimum compared to even milling, for example. And third is the compounding ROI, right? The patients coming in, being excited about getting it done, they refer, the word gets out. So suddenly you find yourself, my model has changed completely. Now, I look at doing a full arch in one visit, in one day. I spent about an hour yesterday, for example, prepping. The rest was just 3D printing, creating a prototype for the patient. He approves it from aesthetic and functional standpoint, and then we go to finish. So that's an enormous, not only efficient way of working, but very profitable.
I know you've done thousands of same-day restorations. What do you see as maybe the biggest hurdle for those who aren't doing same-day restorations to overcome? And what will it take for them to overcome those?
That's a great question. I think there's two big misconceptions, right? One is the learning curve is too steep, right, for the doctors. That's not true, really. With AI, automation in design and nesting, and with the material science, it's very easy to get into this. And also, you can train your staff, right? So you now have to create a team. So this is one biggest hurdle, that you have to forget about being the sole practitioner. I'm the analog guy with my expertise. You have to create a team. Your team can be a dental tech. Your team can be your staff. So you got to get them involved. Second thing I think that people don't realize is that they think that, if I get into digital technology and 3D printing, for example, I can only do single restorations, right? For example, with a Midas. The reality is that we have a platform that I'm going to introduce at the end of this conversation. We're involved in interdisciplinary complex cases every day. So the data is digital, Kevin. We can share it across disciplines, and it's very easy for us basically to share the data and dive into much more complex cases. So things that you have to think about as you're moving forward in the new era of digital dentistry, so to call.
You mentioned the team aspect and how important that is. I'm curious, how did you bring your staff along on this digital journey with you?
Motivating the staff is the hardest thing, right? So by example, we definitely invested in the technology. In our office, for example, I'll go over the protocol very simply. The patient comes in, we just have what we call, a multimodal data platform. So a lot of bioimaging, we call it biodata. So the patient is going to come in just like I'm talking to you. The first thing you see is my face, right? So I'm going to take an image of the face, a facial scanner. Then I'll take a CBCT so we can see the structures. Dr. Archambault is my wife. She's an oral maxillofacial radiologist, so she can interpret that. Then we go ahead and take our intraoral scans. So the staff is trained to take that. Without them realizing, they're starting to capture digital data. We move forward to capturing the movement. Just as I'm moving now, we go to 4D dynamic occlusion. So the occlusion that we're going to use is customized for our patient. So we create the digital avatar. Patients get excited, the staff gets excited about playing with these new toys. The next step that I did personally is that I brought a lab tech. Of course, you can train a staff too, but we brought her in. So once we have this digital data, we go ahead, for example, take a 2D picture also or a video. We can create a simulation. So we can simulate what the smile is going to look like. And actually with AI, facial recognition, you can see how you're going to look before. That 2D is now transported to a 3D CAD, a design software. Mm-hmm. And then we just prototype this. Once the patient approves it, I approve it. We can go ahead and prep. The same data that we have treatment plan, we use it to just give them the smile, make sure they like the aesthetics, make sure we have, and this happens in real time. They don't even have to leave the office. They approve it, then we can go to final finishing. We can print in 12 minutes. So you can imagine this whole process. I spent 1 hour yesterday to do a full upper arch. In 2.5 hours, we had delivered the whole case. So you got to educate your staff. You got to make them part of this. Digital dentistry is not a one-man show, right? There has to be a team. And that's what's really exciting about it.
Last question for you. You mentioned earlier the patients being so excited about the same-day dentistry. Do you see this as a marketing opportunity for dental practices as well, both internally and externally?
That's a great question. The good thing about digital dentistry, it's transparent, right? Everything you do with design, you see it on a computer and the patient sees it too. So, instead of you being in a position as a practitioner, and I've done this long enough to tell you, Kevin, you don't really need to sell the case. You share the information, you share the design, the outcome. The patient has an input, right? They become an integral part of the whole process. Therefore, this builds trust, and they are excited. Yesterday, my patient had the wife. She came in, she approved it. Then the next question was, look how easy this was, right? You had he's an 81-year-old man with a mouth and a smile that he didn't want. He's vain. He wants to look nice. We gave him a new smile. The next question that we said was, do you have any patients to send us? So he becomes a walking advertisement for us.
Wow.
So the potential of internal and external marketing is tremendous, and you're doing it as you do your regular dentistry. So that's exciting for building practices too.
I love that. That's great that you gave them that new smile. That's fantastic. I know that there were some things that you wanted to share with our audience, and I'm going to let you do that now, if that's okay.
Yeah. First of all, I want to introduce our practice. It's San Diego Dental Health Center. We're in La Jolla, California. We're affiliated with UC San Diego with head and neck. It's me and Dr. Katia Archambault. She's a board-certified oral maxillofacial radiologist. We also have a very exciting new digital platform, Digital Dentistry Creators, which is coming out the end of this month. And it's a sharing platform and also educational platform. Obviously, as you can understand from this conversation, we're all trying to get information. Information is golden.
Yes.
And hopefully we can bridge the gap there. And if you want to be digital, this is my closing statement. You got to commit to continuing education, right? Every day, spend time, learn. AI is coming, automation is coming. I'm very excited to be part of this and very envious of the young guys that are coming and have a bright future ahead of them, right? So they're the ones that have to stick around and learn and adopt the new technology, Kevin.
Kristallis, I've enjoyed the conversation today. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you, Kevin.
Sir. And all those links and websites that were just mentioned by Dr. Kristallis, we're going to put those in the show notes, so it's real easy for you to find. We're also going to put more information for you to learn more about SprintRay, the sponsor of this podcast series, so that you can, again, learn more about their series of products as well. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, it is Kevin Henry. I'm the editor-in-chief for Dr. Bicuspid, signing off, and as always, wishing you nothing but success ahead.